Okay,
Yep.
so going through that, your thirst for high yield, then what stopped it? Why'd you get out in the first place?
As summer ended, I did not have the stress of working, 3 jobs anymore. I'm only working 1. And I quit one of my jobs as well when I was working at Canadian Tire on the weekends. I quit Canadian Tire. So therefore, I did not have to go from university to home to work. Now, I could just stay at university and work. And my mindset shifted. I was genuinely more calm. When I came home, all I thought about was work, because on the weekends when I would come home, I would just have to go to work. I could rest now when I came home. And it was the best thing ever. And my mental health increased. Like, I felt way better all the time. I was happier. Home was not just a place to sleep before I went to work. It was now a place where I could sleep and rest. And that changed my investing strategy. It's like, you can relax now. You can go back to long-term growth. The gains will come. It was almost like a realization at that point after I was so hungry for those dividends.
Okay. Are you basically saying that yield chasing it's a detrimental to your mental health then, of sorts? Does it go hand in hand?
No, it does not. I would say it doesn't. Someone's strategy, but if someone's strategy is they're in solid covered calls, like utility sector, S&P sector, it's justifiable because, historical growth of S&P and utilities. It's definitely not related with mental health. I mean, obviously, if they're dropping, you're not going to feel good. But
if they're dropping, the entire market is dropping. No one's going to feel good. Yeah, we're all the same. We're all in the same bucket here. No one gets special treatment here.
In a way, it is related, though, is that if you're so deprived of dopamine and feeling good, those dividends coming in, that money coming in, and you not working or doing anything, it feels good and it gives you that boost. It's like, whoa, I just got paid for doing nothing. So that kind of goes hand in hand with mental health. It'll make you feel better for the short term, but in the long term, if those funds don't do as well, it could actually be a problem to your mental health. So,
would you equate it to addiction of sorts then?
Somewhat, yeah, for sure. It's addicting. It was hard. I mean, it was hard to get out. It's like, oh, I'm not going to get paid anymore.
Did you suffer any kind of withdrawal symptoms?
Once I was out, I was like, no, I'm good. So, no, I was satisfied. I think I got out of it what I wanted to. I learned lessons.
When you got into the earlier yield chasing phenomenon, was there a point where you needed to chase more yield to get more money back, and so a self-fulfilling prophecy in doing more, but and actually hurting your long-term perspective?
Yes,
in that process.
100%. Yes, that is what I was doing during the summertime. I didn't realize it at the time because I thought, this is good. This is how it will be for a while. I knew it wasn't going to be forever, the dividends, but I knew it would be for a decent amount of time. But yeah, it definitely did hurt it a bit.
Just a reminder, folks, that before delving into this full-fledged podcast, we are not licensed financial advisors. The content in this podcast and video is purely for entertainment and information purposes only. Always consult a licensed professional before making any investment decisions. The stocks, ETFs, and closed-end funds discussed in this video are not recommendations. We are not responsible for any losses you may or might incur. Remember, investments that aren't FDIC insured can fluctuate in value, and so please invest wisely based on your own needs and risk tolerance. Now, on to the podcast itself.
Hey guys, welcome back to Beyond the Paycheck, where the podcast run by JJ and I. So today we have a special guest, Jared, from Wealth with Jared. And it's a special Christmas edition because usually we have a monthly cadence upload schedule. But yeah, so Jared, do you want to give us an intro and tell us a bit about yourself and basically your story about how you came to investing and at such a young age?
Exactly. That's what viewers really want to relate to. So give us a little spiel.
For sure. Yes, sir. Well, thank you guys for having me on. As you guys are,
of course, always a pleasure.
We all talk every day. You guys are my good friend. We met at the Blossom Investors Conference and online through Blossom, which is the best app ever. But yeah, my name's Jared Lamarche. I'm 20 years old from Southern Ontario. My investing journey started mainly with just YouTube. I knew I never wanted to be broke. I always worked hard and doing that research on YouTube. And then eventually over time, about a year into or a few months into my investing journey, I found Blossom, and then my investing knowledge kind of skyrocketed from there, and it just made me want to stay focused, save money, keep investing, and build my portfolio at a young age.
Right on, right on. So let's
Yes,
start with the
sir.
first question. Let's delve into a bit more into psychology and the mindset. So
Mm.
because I think that's the biggest part, how one frames their mindset, how one gets started, and how one really transitions is really behind the psychology of how one thinks. And so framing on that context let's talk a little bit more about your background in the sense that is your family how does your family deal with money? And then how did you come about dealing with money, taking on what your family really went through?
Yeah, great question. So growing up, we didn't have a lot.
Mm-hmm.
My mom and my dad, we had a house, and we got by, but
Mm-hmm.
I knew we weren't rich. We were definitely lower middle class, borderline
Okay.
poor, but and then my parents divorced in 2016, and then I now live with my mom and my
Mm-hmm.
stepdad, and our finances kind of changed there, but I never learned many of my investing habits and money habits from my parents. My mom, for one thing, always taught me save. That's the one thing she did tell me,
Right.
and that's what I did before I started university. Is just when I started investing, and I did have a lot of money saved up. I had about $19,000 in my bank account saved from working
That's
from about
amazing.
from about age 16 to 19 working. I ended up making that much money, and I saved it all because that's what I was taught. But yeah, over time, my when I got into my new family, I guess we kind of were better with our money, but I never did learn really much from my parents besides save. Yeah, I my drive really comes from looking at like people who make mistakes in life and
Mm-hmm.
understand like, maybe they're not getting by because they have this unnecessary payment, they spend too much. But
Right.
I learn from others a lot, to be honest.
For sure, for sure.
Yeah.
So let's talk a bit more about the fact that since your family really honed in on the fact on saving, how did you basically switch from saving into then investing? Because we all know that saving in the bank, saving under the pillow, that works. It's better than not saving, but every year inflation eats away that
Mm.
buying power effectively
Yeah.
of how much you're actually able to buy and use it to your advantage in order to grow it. So saving doesn't really hit that sweet spot of growing your wealth. So let's go into the mindset of at what point in your life did it switch from just knowing about saving and then switching that into investing, into growing, into entrepreneurship and all that, into really, because that's a big mindset switch that most people still don't have to this day and are stuck in that, ever like that nonstop rat race of sorts that doesn't really end.
Yeah. So, that jump initially was scary. I was scared
Mm-hmm.
to make that switch. The way I got started was my brother, he got this new job, and all of the guys at his work were invested. And we both really wanted to get started, and we always watched YouTube about it and
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that.
Yeah.
But they introduced my brother to, Simple and, all the benefits of self-directed investing, and especially many of the Vanguard ETFs, especially VFE. And my
Yep.
brother, we were, I have a twin brother. He fell in love with VFV,
Right on.
and it's like, he's like, dude, you got to start. You got to start. I was like, oh, I don't know. I'm scared, man. I don't know. So I kept
Yeah.
saving, saving, saving. And at this one point, it just switched. Like, it was, a day before the election announcement in 2024. I
Okay.
threw 150 into Ethereum, and I threw 150 into Bitcoin. Just, I was like, okay, here's my investing journey. This is the start. And the next day, they both shot up about, I forget what it was, 10, 15%. And over time, I made a lot of money. I was like,
Wow.
okay. Yeah. And then the next day,
The early pump,
um,
huh?
yeah, I got so lucky, and I was like, wow, this investing stuff is great. But like, I knew this wasn't the end of investing. It was,
For sure.
long-term S&P. That was my goal. And then the next day I threw like $8,000 into VFE,
Wow,
3,000 into
$8,000?
VDY. Yeah, 3,000 into VDY, and then I threw 2,000 into Enbridge, and I was like, boom, all in, like all the money I had in my bank. Most of it went into Wealthsimple the next day. So
That's a big transition. How did you go
yeah,
from how were you okay knowing where you were going from $150, okay, $300
yeah.
in cryptocurrency and then going all in $19,000 into broad-based ETFs? Like how did you where was that rational switch and build up, or was it just let's just go all in? Like what was that mindset that you were thinking about?
Yeah, it was definitely a buildup. Like I wanted this for so long. I knew this is how I will be able to retire in the future is by doing this.
Right.
And I was like, here's my chance to get in before, it all shoots up because I knew there was going to be some ruckus in the markets due to the election,
Mm-hmm.
the US election. And I was like, let's do it. Let's get in. And I was like, this is my time. And then it's been full throttle ever since.
Right on. Leon,
Yeah,
your
man.
turn. What do you think about
Yeah,
asking?
I was gonna ask you, since you started so young, so like what suggestion would you suggest other young people that want to get into the markets and start investing?
Yeah,
Yeah.
the number one thing that made me feel confident about investing was the research I was doing. You got to figure out what kind of investor are you? Do you want to
Mhm.
day trade? Do you want to, I don't know, do you want to go for like blue chip companies? Do you like dividends? You got to find out what you like. And for me, I knew
Mhm.
I'm more of a let's fully diversify. Let's get the whole world into my portfolio, and let's go for long-term growth. That's me, and that's kind of how I
Yeah.
made my portfolio. You figure out what you are. You ask questions. On Blossom, I ask questions. I do research. What is right for me? You find what's right for you over time as you do more research. So the advice I can give to young people is do your research, find what kind of investor you are, and ask questions about, what did this ETF do compared to this one? What are the upsides and downsides? You just find out who you are and then get started. The biggest part is doing it because you can have so
Mhm.
much money,
Right.
inflation will eat away at it. You just need to do it. That's
Yeah.
it. Just get started.
Yeah.
So we all know the typical saying is that getting started is the hardest part because it's the unknown factor of what could happen with your money once you put it into any sort of basket, whether it be a single stock holding, whether it be a commodity, whether it be like some kind of fixed income, whether it be a money market fund, whatever it could be, or even cryptocurrency, or even like a penny stock. So that first step is always the biggest hurdle. And so how did you overcome it, and what sort of advice would you give yourself now looking back onto how you got started in the first place?
I would say it's as easy as just making that transfer. Like the gains will come. They will come over time.
Right
You
on.
just need to
Yeah.
be patient. Because when I started, of course, it was the day after the election. I bought VFV and all my stocks at all-time highs. And here I am with VFV. I am up now 13%. So it's like I see 13% gains, and it's like it's just time. Time. It takes time. You just need to do it. Do it now, sooner rather than later. Yeah.
Right on.
Mhm.
Yeah, if you like zoom out and like look at the big picture on the chart, it's like just a small blip.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
I wish I could tell myself that back then because, for months I was red on VFE when I just started, but I
Hmm.
trusted the process and I kept buying. I
Yeah.
kept buying. I never got tired of buying because I knew the gains will come over time. It's just time. Time is on my
Yeah.
side. I'm very young. I'm 20, right? Time is on my side. I just need to wait it out and the
Yeah.
gains will come.
Time in the market and not timing the market,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
So I know you dabbled into like covered call ETFs and like income funds like that. So what was like your journey with that, and what attracted you to that, and like how what's your future outlook on them?
Yeah, good question. Yeah, I did get pretty dabbled up into there. I
You went
it
hard.
was
You went pretty aggressive
I
from
did.
that.
It was never more than 65% of my portfolio. I always had a VFV in there, just my backbone. But yeah,
Yeah.
I made a lot of money. I made over almost $3,000 in dividends, with my smallish portfolio. It was good. I made a lot, lost some, of course, because of the yield max drop, and with MicroStrategy, I did lose a lot there. But, it was
You even went leveraged on MicroStrategy, didn't you, with the
I did.
Defiance MST?
I did. Yeah, that
Yeah.
was a bad choice for sure. But I'm young. I wanted to try it. I understood it was standing. I understood it was real money, but the returns that people were getting, I was like, well, if they can get this, maybe I can too. So I tried. I made my money and I got out before I hurt too bad, which is it's kind of funny. But yeah, you live and you learn. But for a future outlook, I
Yeah, what's
see
your
a
plan?
great. Yeah, I see. I currently am not in any anymore. No more cover calls. But for
Yeah.
others, I see a great future in like the harvest ETFs, HHIS. I don't know if Utes is harvest as
It's
well.
from Evolve.
Use this from Evolve.
Evolve, yeah, like the Evolve, and then there's some Global X ones that are good. Like there are some that I see a future with. Like there's like QQQL or whatever it is.
Yeah. I told you about that one, I think, right?
Yeah, it's great. Like any S&P or big tech tracking
Yeah.
ones, like I see a good future in those.
Yeah.
Utilities, right? Utes. I see a great future in those, and I would recommend those to people if they wanted to go the cover call route for sure, because it's safe. It's a stable market. So
Just
yeah,
a word on
yeah.
QQQL. Those ones are not cover call based. There's purely indexed, just with some leverage, which means that from a long-term track record, based on, well, if you're bullish on tech, why not go bullish, add a little borrowed money in there? Technically, with when all things are to scale and all the fees from those leverage costs are deducted, you can probably see anywhere between a 5 or 10% increase, higher total returns from like long term. Obviously short term, because of how volatile the overall tech and AI sectors are, which is basically 500, like 50% of the Nasdaq index, or even more, depending on, well, where AI is scaling. Just from the huge capitalization of the biggest tech-based companies, their market capitalization in those indices are pretty big already. And so from a short-term perspective, those smaller swings will hurt in the short term, because leverage, don't forget viewers, leverage goes both ways. It goes up higher, but also falls harder, which means that short term, if you're not psychologically in it for the long term, then it will definitely hurt you on the short term if you're selling during any red dip days. But as soon as you zoom out, if you look at least, if your time horizon is relatively long, just like we're all in our 20s, which means that our time horizon, technically, if just based on our RSPs and in the US, those 401k contributions, if you hold very long term, let's say 20, 30, 40 years even, then it will work very well in your favor. So just a little clarification on that.
Yeah. QQQL is like
25%
QQC.
leverage on QC, yeah.
Yeah, it's QQC leverage. And then
USSL.
USSL is VFV, but then with 25% leverage. So
exactly. So very uncapped.
Yeah, if you like VFV, you can also go that.
Yeah, that's true. I'm not in it because, I already have such a good average price on VFE. It's like I couldn't justify selling it all and going all into USSL. I don't know. I just couldn't do it.
You don't think that VFE is so overvalued right now, the entire S&P 500 index?
It definitely is. But when that time comes for the crash, USSL will get hit harder, right? But maybe that's my time to.
That could be a good time to swap.
That's true. That is true. I'll think about it, but I probably won't go that route. I just that's just me. That's just what I would like. So
that's fair.
Yeah.
Looking at those, what was I going to say? So looking at your mindset, would you say that you're more aggressive? Are you more defensive? Or are you somewhere in the middle mixture? Like what's your risk tolerance like in general when it comes to the markets?
I definitely have a high risk tolerance because I'm psychologically sound with my money in the market. But looking at my strategy, it would say I'm more of a defensive investor, a
Okay.
long-term safety kind of, S&P wise. But my mindset though, I'm aggressive and I'm a risk taker. So it's like,
Right.
I don't know, my portfolio doesn't really reflect that. Yeah, I don't know.
Why would you say the case?
I
So
really
when
just,
you mentioned that your
yeah.
current portfolio doesn't really reflect your overall investing mindset, is there a particular reason for that, or are you thinking about rebalancing to better suit your risk tolerance per se, or are you thinking about just letting it go as it is?
Yeah, Um, I don't think it reflects it because I'm not stingy about my money, but
Okay.
like I am, obviously,
Who isn't?
I,
Come on. If you're investing, you're going to be stingy with your money. Come on.
right? I don't know. I just like the slow over time. It's just solid and historically backed.
Yes.
And that's what helps me sleep at night in my portfolio. The volatility doesn't bother me of, AI and tech, but because I do see a future in it. It's just, I don't
Oh
know, it's
yeah.
just not what I want. Like my portfolio is like the sectors wise. It's almost like a perfect pie. I know I'm 25% financial, 25% tech. Those are my two largest sectors. And then it's just split up, we got consumer staples, utilities, real estate, and
Hmm.
that's all like the rest. Consumer discretionary is the good part of my portfolio. It's about 14%. But yeah, it's just I like the diversity and I like the historically backed safety. It helps me sleep at night. That's just my portfolio.
Right on. So
Yeah.
before we move forward, let's just remind all the viewers, let's just go over your current portfolio and how you're allocating your entire and how you're allocating all your investments with throughout your accounts. If you don't mind just going over a little bit of the details and how you're structuring those moving forward.
Yeah, I know just over 50% of my portfolio or just under 50 is VFV, my S&P 500. I love it. It's my backbone, my portfolio. It's the long-term growth. And then my next largest, it's about 14 to 18% is FEQT,
Okay.
Fidelity's all-in-one long-term growth. I like it because they switch like how it's allocated every quarter,
Okay.
depending on performance. I did learn that through Blossom, and I really like that. And I like the 3% Bitcoin allocation to it because I'm a crypto bull. I like it. Um, Next, I know I have XEF in there, and which is the
All right, let's go over your entire portfolio. So you currently have 49% in VFE, which is your typical S&P 500 unhedged. So
Mhm.
basically tracks the US dollar more or less. And
Yeah.
then you have 18.3% in Fidelity's FEQT, they're
Mhm.
all in one. And then
Mhm.
you have 8.4% in ZEB, which is the BMO S&P
Mhm.
TSX eco-weighted bank ETF.
Mhm.
And then you have 8.4% in XCF, which is the iShares Developed Markets Index, so all around the world. And then you have 8.2% in XEC, which is the iShares MSCI Emerging Markets, so all focus on the emerging markets. And then you have 4% in Bitcoin and 4% in XRP. So I'm assuming
Mhm.
those two Bitcoin XRPs you're holding as like actual crypto in in a wallet.
They are held in my not my TFSA, but my crypto account in Wealthsimple.
Okay.
So yeah, Wealthsimple offers a crypto account, and yeah, those are not part of my TFSA. Otherwise, so everything except my crypto is in my TFSA.
If you had
Mhm.
held an ETF that tracks the underlying prices of these, then you will be allowed to hold it in your TFSA. But because
Yes.
you're actually holding coins, then
Mhm.
unfortunately you wouldn't be allowed to. Which then begs the question, why not go a bit more simplified and simply hold ETFs that track the underlying price movements of Bitcoin and XRP rather than holding the coins themselves? Because if you're bullish on them and you're not holding your TFSA, you're going to be suffering a huge capital gain eventually that you'll be forced to sell? No?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. Cryptos,
Why make it more complicated than it needs to be?
for sure. Yeah, I have a reason for that.
Okay.
I'm bullish on it for obviously the long term,
Okay.
but I don't see myself holding crypto forever. That's the thing.
Which
So,
means that you're going to be selling and you will be realizing that capital gain, which could
yes,
be massive.
yes, exactly. And I don't want my TFSA room to be taken up with something that I'm not sure I'm going to hold for a long time. So,
Okay.
yeah. And I will be realizing it, and I don't know, maybe putting it towards my dream car, property, who knows? So we'll see where that money takes me. Maybe just reinvest it back in my TFSA. We'll see.
Is there a particular reason why you want to hold coins in general? Or because then even if you want to keep in like a non-registered account, you can still hold ETFs that track the underlying prices, which makes it actually easier from a tax perspective. Because I think when you're realizing gains or realizing losses on crypto, I think the tax organization that it needs to be involved is more complicated rather than just holding
That's
ETFs
harder.
with regards to crypto taxes.
Me neither.
So you're going to have to speak to an accountant who is specialized in this for sure.
Yeah, for sure. When we get there, but yeah, I'm not even close to selling. So,
Okay.
yeah, I still need to get, knowledge on that. I don't know everything. I'm not a genius investor, right? Like I know a lot, but there's a lot that I also don't know. So a lot of the taxes stuff is stuff that I'm learning. So,
Right
yeah.
on. And just
All
so
right,
next,
Jared.
let's talk about the next question. So let's talk about the fact that let's go through when you were averaging down VFE during those blips after the huge bull run, the initial bull run in November after the election. And we saw those huge, minor corrections that happened along the way. And given the fact that I'm assuming, so you've been investing for about a year now, give or take, overall?
Yeah, we are just over a year now, a year and a
Well,
month.
Nice.
Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
So yeah, going through that mindset, what made you? Because I know when it comes to beginner investors, especially when they get into all-time highs, there's a phenomenon called dumb money, which means that any sort of investing decision that they make is a self-fulfilling prophecy in that any movement they do, well, the entire market is going up, which means that any decision they make, they think they're doing well. So as soon as these market corrections happen, and clearly they do in history all the time, because we can't always have all-time highs in order to, well, there has to be losses to counteract those gains. So going through that, how did you deal with the psychological mindset of, let's just say, checking into your Wealthsimple account or whatever tracker you use and seeing those red days, those huge red losses? Because even going through Liberation Week, prior to that huge spike, the S&P 500 index even went down like 15%. And so being a new investor, how are you able to stomach that volatility, and what were your thinking and your mindset in averaging down and continuing to buy rather than panic selling and just getting out of the markets for a good while and coming back eventually maybe?
Yeah. So that point in time, oh, it was rough. I was logging into Wealthsimple every day, and I was like pissed
Every
off.
day?
I was
Wow,
like,
okay.
oh yeah, I check my portfolio literally every day. I was like pissed. I was like, come on, man, like do something. Like I was down like what, I don't know, $1,300, and I was like, bruh,
Which is a huge chunk of your $9,000, right?
Yeah,
$19,000, yeah.
yeah. Well, portfolio is currently at 22, almost 23,000. Just because we're in because of my crypto currently. No, it's a huge chunk, to a young investor. It's like, man, dude, that's like 2 weeks of work,
For sure.
and it's like, holy, it's gone like that. And yeah, I would log
More
into
with your tax deductions.
Yeah, yeah. Right? Which sucks. Oh, it sucks. But logging in every day I was like, come on, just do something. And I didn't have a lot of money at this time, like not a lot of liquid capital, because, this when I was going home from university on the weekends just to work, and, only making a few $100 every weekend, and gotta save because I gotta pay gas, I gotta pay my phone bill.
Right on.
So it's like I didn't have a lot to average down, but I did when I could, because what made me confident in a market upturn is just the historical returns of the S&P. It just looking at that chart, that 50-year, this year was up, this year it was down, this year was up. It kept me motivated into keeping my money in the market because I just knew over time the gains would come.
Long-term mindset.
Yes, it's very long-term mindset. Even as a beginner investor, it was scary and it sucked, but I knew this wasn't going to be forever. I knew it. I just knew it.
Yeah.
Are you just that good?
I
Are
wish.
you just that good to stomach that emotion? Because most people can't.
Oh,
Especially logging in every single day like you did.
Every day. Yep.
Like it will be a different thing if you checked one day and then just stopped checking for a week, just went about doing something else, so it's off of your mind, and then coming back later versus checking every single day. Like you have to have such a strong stomach and not doing anything irrational. So what made this is a pretty big phenomenon, especially for the beginning investor. So this is what most people need to relate to. So talking to those beginner investors, how did you, like, was there anything concrete besides those historical trends? Because in the moment, logic means nothing. Emotions are always gonna take over logic in that moment. So where was that strong will coming from?
I think this comes from me as a person. I'm very, very psychologically sound. I know myself well. When I get into something, I know what I'm getting into. I know what I'm doing, and I have a reason for it. Okay. So I'm investing to retire. And that's what I keep telling myself. I said, I'm investing to retire. I'm not investing to make $20, $50. I'm here to make hundreds of $1,000s over, 40 years, 35 years. That's my horizon. I just knew this was just I don't know. Like, it's just kind of hard to explain that. It's just, I knew I had to stay invested. I see it all the time on Blossom. It's just the number one thing that they drill into your head on Blossom. Everyone, they say, stay during the downturns, because if you get out, you're going to realize those losses. Those losses will now be realized, and that money you can't get back. But you just gotta just hold and hope.
Hold and hope. That's it.
Yeah, just stay consistent. And I was buying. I never stopped buying VFB, so I just kept to it, averaged down, and it was good. It ended up being all right.
Yeah, you just have it like have the money coming out of your paycheck, no?
Yep,
and
I do.
Straight to VFB.
Yeah, straight to VFB. And
does that happen automatically, or do you just do it every week or every other week?
I set a bi-weekly transfer out of my account right into a VFE and all of my other ETFs. Yeah, just right from my bank to Wealthsimple. And then it goes from my bank to Wealthsimple, and then Wealthsimple does the buys. So I set the buys, and then with whatever money's in my account, it will do the buy.
Yeah,
right on.
So like you're just DCAing every 2 weeks.
Yeah, with whatever I have left over, from the month after paying my phone bill and my gas for my truck. So
Right on. So looking at your current portfolio allocation, are there any more changes you are thinking about making, or are you satisfied with where it is currently standing based on your current 5 ETFs and your 2 crypto positions? Or are you thinking about any sort of adjustments and reallocations moving forward? Let's just talk about going into 2026, since we're almost there anyways.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. I'm glad you asked that. I'm super, super satisfied to where my portfolio is right now. Okay. I feel like for this whole year, I've been trying to find something that's me, what I want. And from so much trial, error, dividends, yield max, this is where I ended up in it just before 2026. And I will just continue to add to these 5 ETFs and buy more Bitcoin over time. I'm really satisfied where my portfolio is. It's just something I've been trying to find for so long. Like, I have, US, I got my United States, I got my developed, excluding Canada and the United States. I have my Canada, which is, my banks, my finances.
Just the banks.
Yeah, just the banks, which I like. It's me. I like finances. I really like the financial sector. I feel like it's solid. And then I also
If
have
you're bullish on
emerging.
the banks, why not then be more bullish on the banks rather just have an equal weighted index?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. I don't know. It's just I like the ETFs. I do. I just like just a Canadian bank ETFs. That's my Canada allocation in my head. That's how I have exposure to Canada
Okay.
without harming my upside, because I know there's not a ton of growth in Canada, but that's where I know the growth to be, and that's where I'm at. So yeah, we're looking at 2026. I will definitely keep adding to those 3 positions in my portfolio that are all 8.4%. I want to build those up before I contribute a lot to VFV. It's just I want to get my exposures relatively even. So that's my goal for 2026.
Right on. So
Yeah.
looking at your current portfolio allocation, you more or less have your allocations with regards to the US, with regards to Canada. Well, you're kind of underweight in Canada when it comes
Yeah.
to it's fine. Like, and then you have the developed markets, and then you also have the emerging markets. Then why not just hold an all equity ETF and swap out? Okay, you can keep your VFE if you since you like it so
Yeah.
much, but then why not just sell your ZEB, sell your XCF, sell your XCC, and just consolidate all into one of the EQTs. Since you like Fidelity's EQT so much, why not just
Yeah.
consolidate all of it into
All in
FEQT?
one.
Since all those developed markets and emerging markets indices are already inside EQT, more or less at the same ratios of what you have already. So there's a saying that simplicity is key, and it makes you more consistent for the long term because there's not that much rebalancing you have to do, and which means that you have to put less time into rebalancing and readjusting your portfolio and actually focusing on building your biggest asset, which is your income potential at such a young age. Your biggest asset, remember folks, whoever's watching this video, your biggest asset is not your returns in the market. It's your income potential to make those returns in your job, in a side hustle, anywhere in the real world, and then use those proceeds to funnel it into the stock market for long-term growth. And so looking at your portfolio, it's pretty simplified as it is, but why not make it even simpler and just go all the equity route? So instead of having 7 specific holdings, you can just narrow it down to 4. Get rid of those 3 ZEB, XCF, and XCC, and just consolidate all of it into an equity portfolio. Why not just go that route instead?
That's a great question, and a question I've went over so many times in my head, and kind of how I landed to where I'm at. The main reason I don't do that is because of the overlap with VFV. I know all of these, like the XEQT, ZEQT, they all have a high overlap with VFV, and I didn't like it. I know FEQT does, but it also has some global exposure and some Bitcoin and crypto. That's why I really like my FEQT. It has some global, but also it is high American exposure, which I'm okay with, but I just really like Fidelity in the company, and that's kind of also why I'm with FEQT.
Okay.
But for the rest, it's just those all-in-ones like VEQT as well. It's just the overlap with VFV that bothers me so much. I have VFV for a reason, and I want it to stand on its own. So kind of that's kind of how I landed where I'm at, and I don't go all into one like that.
Technically, Fidelity has 47% allocation in US, so you technically are overexposed.
Yeah, I did know that, and I'm okay with that to where I'm at right now. Yeah, that's the one.
This is where the logic is not logicking.
I know. It's like it's my one overlap where it's like it's okay because I don't know, because I like Fidelity. That's fine.
Fair enough.
You know, so
I mean,
that's
since you're so since you're like you're more bearish on Canadian sectors and ex VFV, why not just hold the global exposure only on Fidelity? Because I think FINN has that. So I remember you had held FIN for such a long time. So why did you sell it, and why not just keep adding to it and rather just swapping this reallocation actually looking at?
Well, also because it was highly overlapping with VFV, that's why I sold it. I was like,
okay,
yeah, I had it in my portfolio, and it had one allocation that I didn't like about it, and I was like, yeah, I cannot hold this anymore. Well, I kind of Yeah. So yeah, and I sold it, and I'm just happy where I'm at. And also, yeah, it just had too much overlap, and it was a lot in a tech more than I would like, because I know
You don't
it's
like tech?
no, I like it, but just more than I would like, because I got tech and VFV, I have tech and FEQT, and then I would
Mhm.
have tech and Fin, and it's like, it's just too much for me. I don't want that much. So
I'm surprised, but okay.
I'm satisfied with my VFV and my FEQT with that amount of tech in my portfolio, which makes it 25% of my portfolio. With
Fair
Fin,
enough.
that would bring it up way more than I personally would like.
I think you are right, because I'm on Fidelity's website, and based on their most up to date holdings list, which was updated since October 31st of 2025, their sector, they are 72% in US, and of
Yeah.
that 50% is in the Nasdaq index. So
Yeah.
50% is in tech. So you are pretty overexposed. So you are
Yeah.
correct on that.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I did. I put a lot of research into my portfolio, and I'm happy to talk about it today. Like, I'm happy to tell you the reasons why I did those things is exactly, is exactly why. So,
Okay.
yeah.
So then, when it comes to your foreign exposure, then why would you need to hold XCF and XCC separately? Because 20% of that exposure is already in FEQT. So is there a particular reason why you want to overexpose yourself in these particular sectors, or you're just not satisfied enough, or where their whole allocations were?
Yeah, I exactly that. I wasn't satisfied with how much was in FEQT. So I
You think
just
there's a lot
wanted,
of growth potential in the emerging markets and developed markets
I
over
do.
the US?
I'm bullish. Yeah. Not
Okay.
over the US, with it, on kind of on an equal grounds. I believe there's just as much growth in emerging countries as compared to the United States. So yeah, and I just wanted more. That's why it just makes more sense in my brain to isolate these regions in the world. And so I can see it. I can see my allocations very, very clearly, and I kind of know where I'm at in my portfolio.
Okay. Sounds
Yeah.
good.
Nice. All right. So I had a question going back to your personal life. Like, I was gonna ask, what's one habit outside of investing that's had like the most impact on like your financial life?
That's a good question.
Yeah. Any
One
changes?
Yeah, one thing I can highly relate, like a habit, is when I want to do something, I make sure to do my best in it. So I can compare it to working. I know working is kind of closely related with investing because it's your money, but working and doing schoolwork and homework, I do my absolute best in that, because it just feels right to do so. Because if I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it right, and I'm going to make sure I get it done the way I want to do it.
So that's why you did all this research into your portfolio. You want to
Yes.
get it right.
Yeah. There's not many things that I do that I don't have a reason for why I'm doing it. I have a reason for absolutely almost everything I do. And I'm very self-aware as well as a person, and also to my investing. I know exactly where my money is at.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's like those habits of doing my best in the things that matter, and then also the things that, maybe don't matter a lot. So it's just doing my best in everything is the main habit that helps me stay invested.
That's good. That's good. Good
Are you a
advice for you.
perfectionist, or do you classify
Yes,
yourself as an ambitionist?
both.
Okay. To your detriment, sometimes?
No, actually not, because
No.
no, I'm said I'm self-aware to where I understand, things that I do, if they're harming myself, I can step back and realize. So yeah.
That's
Okay.
good.
I think that self preservation and self recognition, I think, is a very important detail in any part of anybody's life. And I guess that really hones into the point of, I believe that you want to be a therapist or a
I do.
psychologist, or okay. You want
Yeah,
to talk a little bit
therapist.
about that, and what's your, like, what was the drive behind going down that psychological route, per se?
Great question. I love talking about this. In elementary school, I was bullied a lot, and I didn't like it. It was something that it changed me. It made me self-aware, to where I am now.
Hmm.
I'm really good with people. I always have been, and I really enjoy helping people, whether it be with work, investing, how to study well and get your work done on time and do good.
Mhm.
I'd say I'm a good driver. I like, helping people drive well, drive better. I don't know, just anything. I really enjoy
Okay.
helping people, but especially you can't, you can't function in life if you're not psychologically sound. And, you know, having good mental health is very important in all aspects of your life. And I just want to help people achieve better mental health. That's why I really want to be a therapist. I
Okay.
want to be able to help people day to day because if you're psychologically sound, you're psychologically level with yourself, you'll be able to manage yourself better and you'll be able to be happier all the time and have a better life and be successful. And that's what I want. I want people to succeed and I'll do anything to help them with that. So yeah, more to add. I'm currently in university right now. I'm in my third
Mhm.
year in a psychology with thesis program. My
Okay.
third year, my 4-year undergrad. In my fourth year, I do a large thesis to where, I think you know about this, JJ. You're
Of course.
Yeah, you know about this. So
All about
next
thesis,
year,
yeah.
yeah, it'll be it's scary. Trying to achieve this thesis, find
What's your
do a
topic on?
study. I don't know yet. That's the thing. I'm still figuring it out.
Do you have an advisor yet? Or
Not yet. Next semester, I'm going to get in a research lab. He does a lot with social media and mental health, and it's something
okay.
that I'm very interested in. So it may go that route. I do like the technology and mental health route, so it might be around there. Screen time, screen usage, and mental health decay. That's kind of where I'm at. So,
Fair enough.
so yeah, I will finish my undergrad in 2027. And then my plan is to go do a 2-year master's in clinical slash counseling psychology. And
Mhm.
then take my therapist exam with the College of Therapists, Psychotherapists of Ontario and become a registered therapist, work for a company, and then eventually move out to go on my own and open private practice.
That
Wow.
sounds like very sound. And
Very ambitious.
so you
Mhm.
specifically wanna go into counseling psychology or any or what's your what kinda or like what particular area are you thinking of like specializing in general?
Yeah, there are two. There's this one psychological technique that I very like. It's called it's CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy.
Okay.
It uses like self-awareness, tracking how you're feeling throughout the day with um like actions, well thought out
Mhm.
actions, and it helps you realize being very it's really along the lines of being self-aware.
Right.
Self-aware of how you're feeling, what you're doing, and understanding what's harming you, what could be helping you. That's what I really like CBT, and I really want to help people using that technique. So, and
What do you
I also really want to learn other techniques as well of therapy, but that one stands out the most to me.
does you looking into the fact that you're so passionate about helping people from a therapeutic background, does that ever was that ever stemmed from your childhood and background? And what do you remember? Like, where was your family background big on mental health in general, or is this mostly a, I want to say a trauma response, but
Yeah,
I guess okay. Let's just put it.
yeah,
Is it a traumatic response to the lack of mental health awareness that drove you down this path per se?
yeah. That's almost exactly right. My family were really silent about it, but I knew they were there for me. But
Right.
hard to come out to let them know that people are bullying me and stuff like that. No,
Why is
it's
that?
more I was very good at dealing with it on my own.
Okay.
Yeah, just as I said, psychologically sound of all I've had good protective factors in my life, and that's, you know,
Wow.
personal protective factors and communal protective factors. So good I have a semi-strong family, I got a twin brother is my guy, bro. Like, we do everything together. We like the same stuff. But yeah, there's people there and I know it, even though I didn't have a lot of friends, I knew the people were there and that kept me sound. And I always had something to look forward to, which I was really happy about.
Hmm.
And so that kept me good. But this, yeah, I want to say part of it comes from a trauma response. And then the other part comes from just my personality and how I developed over time.
Hmm.
It's just who I am. It's just what I like, who I am. And it makes me want to do it for others, help others.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very
Oh,
nice.
cool. And then now I guess you are trying to help others with your YouTube channel too.
Yeah,
Sharing the word or sharing the knowledge of investing and like starting early.
exactly. Yeah, that's kind of the most important part of my YouTube channel is that, look, it's kind of like, look what I'm doing. I'm 20 years old and,
Yeah.
You
I
built
want to help.
already a 5-figure portfolio. That means that anybody can do
Yes.
it.
I mean, it really does,
Yeah.
it really does. It's just the way you
Nothing
manage your
is really
money.
stopping you other than your own self,
Yeah.
technically, right?
We also got to put ourselves in other people's shoes to where, they may not be in the financial space for this, but it's also
Right.
the financial mindset. It's the mindset as well.
Mindset.
It's always
It's
the mindset,
understanding
yeah.
that you don't need two $500 car payments and a home. It's realizing that some things you can cut out, stuff like that.
Yeah. And you're a busy guy too, right?
Yeah.
And you have a bunch of stuff going on. Do you want to talk about you're like a full-time student and you're multiple jobs and
Yeah.
you're balancing it all. That's amazing.
Yeah. No, I'm in university.
How do
I'm
you
a
do it?
full-time. How do I do it? Oh, man. Time management skills, again, self-awareness, and knowing what's important, knowing what you can put on the back burner and what actually needs to get done now. That's very important. Time management, right? Yeah, I'm in university, full-time student. I have classes every day, Monday to Friday. I got a job at the school as well, which I'm the coordinator of a program. It's a very good program, I think. It's called Walk Safe at the University of Windsor. I'm the coordinator of Walk Safe. We walk people home at night if they need to go to the bus stop, to their car, or home within a certain boundary. I'm the coordinator, and I manage volunteers, so I get paid for doing the work for that. So
Very nice.
I love it. And then studies full time, right? 5 days a week, doing the readings. Make sure you read the textbook before the lecture, take notes on it, take notes during the lecture, and also eating well and sleeping well and going to the gym. And then my job, it's a lot, but I have a goal. I want to be rich, I want a Hellcat, right? So I do what I can to get the things that I want. So I'm working my ass off. So that's where
Do you have a retirement FI number in mind? Ever? Do you think about that?
Like a number in mind.
Would you want to, in the case that you want to like work until like typical retirement age, or are you thinking about like retiring early, or do you have a particular number, or like, anything you're kind of trying to achieve?
Yeah, well, I know I want a Hellcat so bad. I love my car
Okay,
guy.
we're not talking about the Hellcat, but okay.
FI number, in terms of FI number, I don't want
Anybody
to
who does, actually viewers, anybody who doesn't know what FI is, it's just financial independence, and then FIRE is integrated with that. So financial independence, retire early. So everything with regards to, retiring early from your 9 to 5, not necessarily from your own business, but just from the typical 9 to 5 per se.
Yeah, so it's kind of difficult because I think about it, my finances on my own, but I have to think about my girlfriend when we combine our finances, and when she gets a job, we'll be investing, we'll be helping, our money will be once we're married, right? And then our investments will be, TFSA, RSP. So it's like, it will be our money at the end. Right. It's hard to gauge what number that will look like, but I know I don't want to work till 60. I don't want to work till 65. I think 55 is the age, right? It's to me, 50 or 55, I want to be done. And I just want to enjoy cars, travel, because that's something I don't do a lot of. But yeah, and that number, if I was 55, I'd like to see...
Are you thinking about Coast-Fi, Barista-Fi, Lean-Fi, Fat-Fi, somewhere in between?
Yeah, I don't know, actually. What is that?
Do you have a target range? So Coast-Fi is basically that you're not entirely retired, but you're taking on like a part-time job to supplement your retirement. So you're working part-time per se. Barista-Fi, I think that's somewhere around that range, and they're all net worth dependent. Barista-Fi, Barista-Fi and Coast-Fi, you're sitting anywhere between that 750,000, like typically based on the traditional 4% drawdown rule.
Yeah.
So Barista-Fi and Coast-Fi, you're anywhere between that, I think less than $1 million, but anywhere between that maybe $700,000 to that $1 million range. Lean Fi is $1 million to $2 million. A typical fire range. Typical fire range is anywhere between $2 to $5 million, and then fat fire or chubby fire is $5 million to $10 million and beyond, so on and so
Yeah.
forth.
Well, definitely fat fire. So if we're talking,
so you're thinking about a lavish lifestyle then?
Yes. If we're talking 4% rule, then I definitely want to be the number I want to see at 55 is 5 million.
Okay.
Yeah. That's
very,
I've had that.
Very doable.
Yep. I've had that in mind for the better half of 6 months now. So that number 5 million, that is my number for sure.
If you consistently contribute, if you consistently add to your contributions every single month, every single year, and that grows just based on contribution room, you'll easily achieve that by 55 years old. Yeah. It's just a matter of consistency and not stopping that accumulation pattern.
Yeah, that's my
the most
number.
important part.
Yeah,
because I mean, 35 years of discipline, that's pretty hard.
It is hard, but I have a goal. That's my goal. I tell you, when I do something, I'm going to do it. So
determined.
Yes.
I like it.
Do you self-absorb all kinds of stress, or do you think at one point, based on the fact that because you don't show too much, like you deal with everything head on yourself, do you think there's to a point where that, because most people who like deal with like stressful situations and everything alone and don't let it out, do you think at one point that like you could fall into the part where everything there's a bottleneck, there's that cap at one point, and then everything could just blow up and you go through kind of like a burnout phase of sorts? Or do you think you're so good that won't happen and you're able to manage it in some way?
Yeah, I know it's possible. I think I felt it this summer. You know, I was working 7 days a week, 3 jobs, and with no break. It was rough. I was just tired all the time, but I had a goal. You know, I wanted to make a certain amount of money, and I did. But you just felt like nothing. You're just work. You just wake up and work, and yeah, it's just.
Do you want to know something, Jared?
Yeah, tell me.
Your truck is eating into part of those savings.
I know. No, I know. I had no choice but to get.
Sorry, I just had to tease you. That was the one thing that I could probably tease you on.
I know.
Yeah.
That is the one thing though, is like honestly where I like spend my money is like on my truck. I made sure it's what I want and it's gonna last me. So it's like this is the truck I'm gonna have for the next few years till it dies for sure. But yeah, no, I know. I think there is a limit if you don't have those protective factors and emotional management skills. There will be a point to where you just. It's over for you. You'll go into this depression or
kind
whatever.
Of dramatic, but okay.
Yeah, for sure. It's just you got to be aware. You just got to monitor how you're feeling, talk to people, and stuff like that. Just be self-aware. Write down how you're feeling and stuff like that. It's just there is a point. You know, I not almost reached it, but just exhaustion. I don't know. It was more of a physical rather than a mental. Actually, I would say it was a little bit of both. Like just burnout. Oh, gotta get up, go to work. I gotta, go do this and that. It's like, I just want to do nothing. So, but yeah, you just gotta manage your time and be.
Sometimes you just gotta take some healthy breaks, man.
It's so true. Normal. Yeah, I didn't want to
because we're not built like robots. We can't work 24/7. It's just it doesn't happen.
We can't.
We like to think technically our brains could keep going, but our bodies just can't. You need to recharge at one point.
Yeah, it was more definitely on the physical side. It's just sore. You're just sore all the time, and you don't give yourself enough time to heal.
Do you get massage days? Do you go and take a massage?
I had I got one, and it was my first time ever this summer.
If you like it, you should go more often because
I know
since you have your own business, they're tax deductible. Right?
That is true.
You need it to function for your business.
Yes, no, that is so true. It's physically demanding, right? I have a lawn care business on top of my full-time job, so I'll keep that in mind. I should use that more, actually.
I'm the tax expert.
I know crypto. You are. I know. Yeah, besides crypto, but I know you know a lot about taxes, and I definitely like hearing the things you got to say. So, but yeah, no, I got one massage. I should get more. I really should. My girlfriend really tells me I should. So, yeah.
Right
I've
on.
never gotten a massage. How is
No,
it?
they're just so expensive. It's just,
They are.
I feel like the cost for the benefits just outweighs it for me. You know, I'd rather sleep all day and do nothing rather than get a massage, and
You can
at
go to
least
a
that's,
sauna if there's
yeah,
something nearby,
that is true.
because extreme hot temperatures, it
Mhm.
relaxes your muscles. So you can do
Yes.
that too. And it's way more cost effective.
My way of recharging is like sleeping until 12, like sleeping into noon and then playing like video games the whole day or something and just doing nothing, just
Fair enough.
obviously getting my workout in my sunlight, but like on a rest day, it's just rest. It's actual rest. So that's what I need.
Gym helps.
Yes, it does.
Gym
Yeah.
definitely helps. Yeah.
Yeah, I see Leon, you've been in the gym recently. That's really awesome, man. That's good.
I like to be consistent in the gym because taking care of your body, health is wealth, right?
Yes.
Very sound.
There was a very good quote I know that I heard. It's like a rich man wants like 1,000 things, but a sick man only wants one, right? And that hits deep.
It does. I haven't heard that before. I like that one.
Yeah.
That's really good.
Yeah.
Sound analogy.
Well, since it's like almost the end of the year, let's take some time and reflect. So like what's one financial lesson that you're grateful that you learned so early on your journey?
Staying invested when the market is in a downturn. That is definitely the most important thing. When you're in solid stocks for the long term, staying invested is the best
Makes it easier.
advice. Yes, it does. Because you can average down and then those gains will just go way up and it just feels awesome. That is the biggest lesson I've learned this year. Staying invested is the most important thing.
I have another question for you. Let's go
Sure.
into more your mental health specialty. Do you think there is a direct relationship between your mental health, your mental capacity, and your financial literacy and your financial capacity to make those sound decisions?
Yes, 100%. I can honestly relate it this summer. This summer I was working so hard and I felt like, I was worth more. Maybe I'm worth more money. How can I make more?
Right.
And that's how I got into the high yield dividends. I was looking for more. I wanted more. I felt like I was worth more. And, the dividends coming in, it made me feel like, yeah, this is what I'm worth. I'm worth
Right.
this much money. This is how much money I'm worth. And the money that I'm making from these dividends now equates with the effort that I'm putting out. My psychological state was definitely in line with my investing strategy, 100%.
If you're so hungry for you, okay, actually let you finish that finish that thought first. And
Go
then,
ahead. That's it.
Okay.
Yep.
So going through that, your thirst for high yield, then what stopped it? Why'd you get out in the first place?
As summer ended, I did not have the stress of working, 3 jobs anymore. I'm only working 1. And I quit one of my jobs as well when I was working at Canadian Tire on the weekends. I quit Canadian Tire. So therefore, I did not have to go from university to home to work. Now I could just stay at university and work. And my mindset shifted. I was genuinely more calm. When I came home, all I thought about was work because on the weekends when I would come home, I would just have to go to work. I could rest now when I came home. And it was the best thing ever. And my mental health increased. Like I felt way better all the time. I was happier. Home was not just a place to sleep before I went to work. It was now a place where I could sleep and rest. And that changed my investing strategy. It's like, you can relax now. You can go back to long-term growth. The gains will come. It was almost like a realization at that point after I was so hungry for those dividends.
Okay. Are you basically saying that yield chasing it's a detrimental to your mental health then, of sorts? Does it go hand in hand?
No, it does not. I would say it doesn't. It's someone's strategy, but if someone's strategy is they're in solid covered calls like utility sector, S&P sector, it's justifiable because, historical growth of S&P and utilities. It's definitely not related with mental health. I mean, obviously, if they're dropping, you're not going to feel good. But
I mean, if they're dropping, the entire market is dropping. No one's going to feel good.
exactly.
Yeah, we're all the same. We're all in the same bucket here. No one gets special treatment here.
In a way, it is related though, is that if you're so deprived of dopamine and feeling good, those dividends coming in, that money coming in, and you not working or doing anything, it feels good and it gives you that boost. It's like, whoa, I just got paid for doing nothing. So that kind of goes hand in hand with mental health. It'll make you feel better for the short term, but in the long term, if those funds don't do as well, it could actually be a problem to your mental health. So
would you equate it to addiction of sorts then?
Somewhat, yeah, for sure. It's addicting. It was hard. I mean, it was hard to get out. It's like, oh, I'm not going to be getting paid anymore.
Did you suffer any kind of like withdrawal symptoms?
Once I was out, I was like, no, I'm good. So no, I was satisfied. I think I got out of it what I wanted to. I learned lessons.
When you got into the earlier yield chasing phenomenon, was there a point where you needed to chase more yield to get more money back, and so have basically fulfill a self-fulfilling prophecy in doing more, but and actually hurting your long-term perspective?
Yes,
in that process.
100%. Yes, that is what I was doing during the summertime. I didn't realize it at the time because I thought, this is good. This is how it will be for a while. I knew it wasn't going to be forever, the dividends, but I knew it would be for a decent amount of time. But yeah, it definitely did hurt it a bit.
So if you were to try this again, knowing what you know now,
knowing
what you know now, basically, because you're no longer such a novice investor, if you would want to dabble into any sort of higher yielding investing, what kind of refined route would you then take? Knowing by like step by step.
Yeah, the first thing, do not go into single stock covered calls. Okay. Do not do that. You don't like
MSTE or MSTY?
No, I'm good. Yeah, single stock. It's like you can say your income is dependent on the performance of one stock. So It's like, it's scary. What I would suggest is, knowing what I know now, is go into solid sectors such as S&P, utilities, NASDAQ, stuff like that. You're going to experience volatility with the NASDAQ, but yeah, go into sector tracking ETFs rather than single stock volatile ETFs. And then, don't chase like 80% yields, 100% yields. Go to the more modest 20%, 15%, as to where you're getting paid, but nothing that's going to deteriorate your long-term growth in these funds.
Yeah, I would have to say that your yield needs to be in line with the total return of the underlying index. Yeah. Say, for example, if an ETF, if a cover call ETF holds the underlying as a NASDAQ index, looking at the historical track record of the NASDAQ index, it's more or less we're looking at nominal return, so we're not factoring inflation. It's around that 17 to 18% year-on-year return, which means that if a cover call ETF or any other ETF that tracks or holds the underlying NASDAQ index, if you have a yield, subject to higher projected yields of 20% or even higher, you're going to experience some kind of NAV decay or NAV erosion or capital depreciation of some sort of manner, because there's no way, if you're tracking that underlying sector, there's no way those yields are going to be sustainable long term without suffering in some way, which means that you're still going to be losing or underperforming the underlying index, because you also have to realize those realized gains actually, especially in a non-registered account, you have a tax drag as well to factor into. There's that as well.
Yeah, it's something you definitely got to think about for sure.
Especially, I would have to say that this yield, like distributions every single month or every single week or every other week, is great, but at what cost does it come out of?
Yeah,
for your future returns.
Yeah,
cool. Well, I think we're at the 1 hour mark, so I
Well,
just
past
want
that,
to
well, technically past that 1 hour mark. So let's go, maybe wrapping up. Do you have any burning questions that you would like to ask us in return?
Oh, that's a good question.
Sure.
Does it have to be about investing?
No,
No?
it could be anything.
I have a question for Leon here. Since it's the conversation, I just what do you do for work?
I am a software engineer. I work in the auto industry, so I kind of like help connect cars to the cloud and facilitate that connectivity. So like if you want to go on your truck and you want to remote start it, especially in the wintertime, that's the services I work with.
So you're a cloud engineer.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yes, yeah.
That's cool because I just got a remote start put in my truck yesterday.
Hey, you can probably diagnose it from where he is.
That is awesome. That is really cool. That's cool. Thank you for sharing. No, I appreciate that. I always wondered, how do you, manage your finances? What do you do for work and stuff like that? So that's awesome.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Yeah.
You ever think? Oh, sorry. Let you ask that.
Yeah.
Did you have to go to school for that?
Yeah, I went to school. I went to the University of Waterloo for computer science.
Nice.
I did a bunch of internships with them. I mean, like at the university, I did a bunch, including like Manulife and some other places. Like I even went at the bank once. And then I came here one time, and then after I graduated, they liked me, so they invited me back.
Well done. That's awesome, dude. That's so sick. Good job.
Here's a pessimistic question: is your job AI proof?
Or
are you trying to integrate AI in some way?
AI.
Okay.
We utilize AI in a sort of way. Like we have it available as a tool, but my role I think will still stay, or like responsibilities might change more. So like less coding, but like a software engineer, they need to design like systems and like think about more stuff that like a typical AI would be able to do right now. So yeah, I don't think it's gonna go anywhere soon.
Nice.
Solid.
Good job, man. You worked hard. Sounds like you worked hard to get your job, so I'm proud of you.
Yeah, it's been a while. It's been a long journey. Like working a lot in high school, and I was also presented with opportunities that I'm very grateful for. So yeah.
And are you 25, right?
I am 25 now. Yeah.
Yeah. Nice. And JJ's 23.
Yeah.
And I'm 20. So that's cool. We're all in our 20s and we're all working on our personal finance. I love that about us three. Honestly, I love it.
You ever thought, Jared, you ever thought about going more professional down that financial route in any way? Or are you happy where you are being a DIY financial educator of sorts?
No, I'm definitely very happy at being DIY.
Okay.
I love it.
I would have to say there is a lot to learn. Like we've just scratched the surface. It's complicated to say the least. Yeah.
I would say investing is my passion, but not something I would want to do for work.
Okay.
I love knowing what I know, and I know there's more to learn, but never crossed my mind for a job to get into finance or anything like that. It's just, I don't know, the environment's not for me.
That's fair.
Yeah, I love it as a personal hobby and to better myself. I love it as that, but that.
Yeah.
With your goals and your sort of changing attitude, are you basically getting your close ones involved? Let's just say for your girlfriend, for example, is she now investing too?
Yes.
Or is she sitting on the outside?
No, I've got her invested in to go more aggressive in it as well. I'm really happy that I did because I want her to be on the same financial track as me. And I want her to understand it's important to invest and that we can't just have it sit there and let inflation eat away at our minuscule interest we get from the bank. So, and she understands that, and she understands a lot more as well. And I just want to keep learning with her, and we can learn together. That is the best part for sure.
Hey, someday you can bring her on the podcast, and then we can have another round.
That would be awesome. Yeah, we would have a chat. That'd be cool. We could definitely do that for sure.
There's gonna be a lot to talk about for sure.
There is. Yeah.
Nice.
Do you have any other burning questions you want to ask? before we wrap it up with some, reflections?
Yeah. I don't think I got any more questions. No, that was very good. It was fun.
All right. So
All right.
looking forward in the next 5 years, what are some like key reflections that you would want to better yourself? And what is, I guess, one key area that you would want to work on that you would likely want to improve on in the next 5 years since until 2030?
Yeah, definitely with my busy schedule, I want to focus more on my physical health. Even
Okay.
though I'm very good at it, I would like to do better. I want to be better in my eating habits and stuff like that.
Okay.
I eat healthy, but I love to challenge myself to be even more strict with what I eat without sacrificing happiness and stuff like that. Definitely my physical health is something I want to work a lot on in the next 5 years, for sure. I have a lot of goals.
Right on.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
wrapping up, what is, I guess the final key advice for anybody that's still listening to this hour? And what is, I guess, one key takeaway that you would want viewers and listeners to top off with? That could be anything.
Yeah. My most important message for anyone listening, who wants investing advice. Obviously, we're not financial advisors here, but
Not yet.
Not yet, but just stay invested, have a goal, understand what kind of investor you are, and stay invested even when the market's red. Keep buying no matter what. Manage your money well, cut out anything that eats away at your bank account, and keep investing. Never stop buying. That is my goal.
All right. That's solid advice.
Very good.
And I guess that wraps up our second episode of Beyond Podcast. And hopefully viewers who are listening to this, we are filming a couple days before Christmas. So hopefully we'll have this aired out as a special Christmas episode. And happy holidays, everyone. And we'll see you in the next one.
Yep.
Bye for now.
Happy New Year, guys.
Yeah, I'll
Happy
say
New Year.
one more thing to add.
Yeah, sure thing.
Be sure to check out my YouTube channel, Wealth with
for
Jared.
sure. Yeah.
I'm sure that JJ and Leon will link it below. Wealth with Jared, no spaces. I have a few videos, and there will be more coming soon. So happy
Consistency,
holidays,
man.
everyone. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Merry Christmas.
All
Merry
right.
Christmas.
Happy holidays.